This is a video about the past tense. It's made for people who are learning French, but the video itself is in English to cut down on confusion. It's a general overview to prepare you for more specific lessons on the past tense in French. There are several different types of past tense in all languages. In English, think of the difference between I went, I was going, and I have gone. They're different, yet they all come from the same verb, to go. It's time we learn to call these by their grammatical names. I went is the simple past. Think about it. Compared to other types of past tense, like I was going and we have been going, this one only uses one verb, not two or three, so it's simple. This same tense is also called the preterite. Interestingly enough, the simple past is rarely used in French. They call it the passé simple, and it's really only used in literature. People don't use it at all in conversation. That's why it probably doesn't look familiar. Most beginner French classes don't teach it. Here's a quick example of the simple past conjugation of the verb être. Je fus, tu fus, il fut, nous fûmes, vous fûtes, ils furent. So, I was going is known as the imperfect. This is as common in French as it is in English, so we'll have a separate video explaining it. The passé composé is super common in French because it's used for both the simple past and what we would call the present perfect. An example in English would be I have gone or she has been. You might think of this as the compound past because it compounds or combines two different verbs. Again, in French this tense is used for both the simple past and the present perfect in conversation. So in French, there's no difference between I went and I have gone. These would both be the passé composé je suis allé in French. Just in English, I went is called the simple past and I have gone is called the present perfect. In French, those are only different if you're reading literature and using the passé simple. P.S. If you're wondering why something in the past tense is called the present perfect, it's because the auxiliary verb is in the present tense. So, what's an auxiliary verb? Well, the passé composé uses one auxiliary verb and one past participle. Here's an example. She has been. Notice the two verbs in the construction. The verb to have is conjugated, and the verb been, from to be, doesn't change at all. She has been, I have been. To have changes, but the been stays the same. We have terms to label both of these parts. We call the conjugated verb the auxiliary or helping verb. We call the other verb, the one that doesn't change, the past participle. More on this in a separate passé composé video. When the past tense in French starts to seem overwhelming or confusing, take comfort that everything lines up somehow with English. And look at all the different kinds of past tenses there are in English. There is, for example, the simple past, the imperfect, the present perfect continuous or progressive, the past perfect, and the past perfect continuous, plus the subjunctive varieties of all of these. These might look confusing at first, but hey, you use them in English all the time without really thinking about it, don't you? You'll get to that point in French eventually. I would pause the video here to read through these. Our next videos will be on the imparfait or imperfect and the passé composé. Now you've had a general overview of the past tense for learning French. Nice job! You can find more language learning resources and videos like this one on lingolearner.com.